With over 1,000 UFO sightings every single year, it begs the question, what would each of us do if we ran into the Dover Demon? It has a large bulbous head and walks on all fours, but sometimes it walks upright. So after we go on the 2-day-long set of encounters people had with this thing, I'm going to bring you a story that seems extremely similar to this creature that we're talking about today, known as more often than not, cryptid encounters are sometimes years, decades, or even centuries apart from each other. This one, however, happened all within 2 days. And just to add even more strangeness to this whole thing, this Dover Demon was seen at multiple times and multiple locations by multiple different groups of people, but all with the same description. And all of this happened within very quick succession to each other. For this reason, I just have to say the story has a very strange air of authenticity to it. But at the end, I am going to give you a bit of an explanation of what this could be without just summing it up and saying it was just an alien. So be sure to stick around, because if these creatures are really hiding in the darkest parts of the earth, then you might want to know about them. 17-year-old Bill Bartlett was driving home on April 17th, 1977. He was passing by a farm that he had often driven by. Along this farm was a broken down stone wall, and this is where he saw the creature. Bill said this Dover Demon had tendril-like fingers as it crawled atop this broken stone wall. He's also the one responsible for the original sketch of the creature here. And you may be saying to yourself that this entire thing is just a bunch of hokey superstition. But I personally gotta say, I believe him. And I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. But I believe this story, because it's not just Bill that saw the Dover Demon. He was driving with his friends in the car. They were all just cruising around Dover to look for something to do when they happened upon this Dover Demon. In fact, calling it a Dover Demon probably has a deeper meaning to it. This is just speculation on my behalf, but because Bill Bartlett was said to have even wrote on his drawing, "I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles that I saw this creature," it's gotta mean something. And let me also just remind you that Dover, Massachusetts was a fairly small town. Modern day Dover only has about 6,000 or so residents, and 50 years ago that number would have been much smaller. When you pair that along with the fact that in the 1950s, swearing on a Bible meant a lot more than it does to people today, I am personally inclined to believe that he truly saw this thing. But let's take a step away from Bill Bartlett and his encounter with the Dover Demon, because he wasn't the only one. The following night, there were others that had seen this odd cryptid. Oh wait, I'm jumping too far ahead.
A few moments later.
Just an hour later, John Baxter and Pete Mitchell claimed to have seen this thing while they were walking home. Not much else is known about this encounter, other than it was now walking on 2 legs and ran off into a gully and then stood up next to a tree. And this all ties into the legend of goblins in Kentucky, but I'm going to touch on that at the end. The following night, Abby Brabham and Will Trainter claimed to have seen this odd creature. The two were in Will Trainter's car when they saw it on the side of the road. And as they got closer, they were able to describe a very clear creature, something that is very similar to what we just spoke about. It had long, thin fingers, a bulbous head, and big, bright eyes. The only way it differed from Bill Bartlett's description was that this Dover Demon had green eyes, whereas his had orange. Other than this one discrepancy, they essentially saw the same creature, or perhaps it was just a different creature but of the same species. When Abby was questioned about this, they said that she was wrong about what she saw because the eyes were not the same. But despite this, she was very adamant that she saw the Dover Demon with glowing green eyes. And before I give you this final piece of the puzzle, I just gotta say, when people see Bigfoot, it's usually something like, "I saw Bigfoot over here in 1965, and then somebody else comes along, "I saw Bigfoot 2 miles down the road in 1982. So it does seem kind of odd. This large creature is seen decades apart from the last sighting, and to a large majority of people, it does seem as though this is just one big hoax. But there are a very small portion of the population that claim to have had an actual encounter with this creature and know that it's real. But that's because Bigfoot is huge. The Dover Demon, not so much. When it comes to these Dover Demon sightings, how incredibly rare and unique is this cryptid set of sightings that it's seen at one point by a group of kids in a car. Then an hour later, it's seen by another couple of kids. And then the following day, the very next day, it was seen again. Not only this, but if the entire Dover demon story was all a hoax, then wouldn't they have all gotten together and at least decided to agree on the color of the glowing eyes? I really don't believe the kids lied, because things were just different back in 1955. This actually leads us to what these creatures could be, or at least could be related to. There's a legend of what are called Joga. They're also known as the Elves of Darkness. They live in the shadows within the earth itself, and it's actually in 1955 as well that the Kentucky Goblins attacked an innocent home. I use the word attacked loosely, mind you, but the entire story is too good to just be put into a short 20-second summary. So go check out why I believe the Dover Demon could be a Joga, and why the Kentucky Goblins attack could at least be somewhat related to this cryptid.